Hello and good afternoon. Welcome. We are waiting for a few more participants to join, and we're going to get started. Hello and good afternoon. I know we have some participants that'll be hopping on, but for the purposes of time, we're going to get started today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Midra Surratt. I'm the Executive Director of Parent Information Center of Delaware. And for those of you that may not be familiar with Parent Information Center, PIC is a statewide nonprofit advocacy organization that supports parents of children with disabilities or special health care needs, as well as youth as it relates to self-advocacy and other supports to live productive lives. We support families in a number of ways through one-on-one consultations. We also have trainings such as the one that you're participating in today. We partner with many agencies and organizations and families statewide so that we can bring resources in order to help support you in your advocacy for your child or self-advocacy for youth. I wanted to highlight before we get into the presentation, upcoming events this month, just to bring to your attention. Feel free to click on the link, which we'll also put in the chat, or you can use the QR code that'll take you directly to our events page on our website. But we're really excited to be able to offer a wide variety of learning opportunities for families and professionals as well. Without further ado, I want to get into our presentation, and we want to once again welcome Michelle Jackson, Education Associate with the Delaware Department of Education, who will share some resources for families today as it relates to the DESA alt. So Michelle, I want to turn it over to you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here again to go through some of the resources that we have available on our website. Again, my name is Michelle Jackson, and I am the Education Associate for Special Populations. So I oversee the DESA alternate assessment, as well as the accessibility supports for all the assessments across the state. Okay, so I'm going to begin by walking you through how to get to the resources on the page. All right, so you should be seeing the Delaware page. And to get here, you would go to education.delaware.gov, and that will take you to our main page. From there, you would then go to student and families. And if you go to kindergarten through grade 12 and you click on academic support, you'll see different options come up. And because we're talking about the alternate assessment, we're going to go to student assessment and testing. And I'm going right here to the alternate assessment page. So on this page, you'll see just a general info of what this assessment is. But if we scroll down, you're going to see family and educator resources. So this is one of the things that I do suggest is that you can bookmark this page by highlighting and then hitting the star, the little bookmark, add it to your favorites bar, so that way it'll be easier for you to access this page again in the future. So the first thing that you're going to see here in red, these are our two newest resources. And the first is our parent guide for the alternate assessment. And I'm clicking on it, and I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit to make sure that you can see it. So this was finalized as of May 2021. And this was created, most of the documents that I'm sharing, especially these first two, they were workshopped across our stakeholders. So even Parent Information Center PIC here looked through it and had some parents review this. So, you know, we're hoping that you'll find this really useful. So the first thing that you're going to see here is what parents need to know about our alternate assessment. And this gives you the definition for what does the word the most significant cognitive disability mean. And that's a term that's used in our assessment world to refer to the students who would be eligible to be assessed or participate in the alternate assessment. And it has different questions. It tells you what is an alternate assessment, who is on the IEP team. It goes through like, how does the IEP team decide if my child is eligible for the alternate assessment? I will take a note here and to say that as a parent, you should be highly involved in this process. A part of that discussion, it's not just a checkbox on the tool that we have developed. You are adding all the pieces, you're sharing relevant information as a parent, and you're also a part of that decision making of, yes, my child should be a part of this assessment. One of the things that we do want to make sure as well that you're aware of is the implications of what it means when your child participates in the alternate assessment. So there are other questions that's answered on this as well, which is what happens if my child took the alt and then, is switched to the general assessment. One of the things we got to remember is that these decisions are made yearly. So it's every year that you should be talking about the decision as well as the implication. There's a question here that talks about the diploma of alternate achievement. What does that mean? And what does that, what does that mean really in terms of my child in the future after graduating high school? So this is one resource that is available. There's also a click through to our digital DE site, which I'll also share how to get to that as well. So that's a look at our first resource. Another resource that's on here is, what if your child is found ineligible to be assessed or is being moved off the alternate assessment to the general assessment? This goes over the different kinds of accessibility supports that are available. And we have 3 different kinds of accessibility supports. We have our universal tools, which are supports that are available to everyone. We have our designated supports, which are available to our ELs, our students, our general education students receiving supports, as well as students with individualized education plans or IEPs and the 504 plans. And then we have our accommodations, which are available only to students with our IEPs or 504 plans. So this kind of goes through, what does it mean if my child is receiving accessibility supports on the general assessment? They do also receive accessibility supports on the alternate assessment. And basically, on the alternate assessment, the test administrator, or generally it's the child's teacher who's giving the assessment, they complete a personal needs and preferences profile in the system, as well as a first contact survey. And it asks really specific questions that makes this assessment individualized for your particular learner. On this form as well, it goes through some terms that you might hear, which is accommodation or modification. And what does that mean? So like an accommodation involves how students access the test, while modifications change the construct of the test. So the alternate assessment is a modified assessment. It's modified from the general assessment in that it's meant for learners who are being instructed in standards that are less in depth, breadth, and complexity. So our modified assessment is the alternate assessment, which is provided by dynamic learning maps. All right. Some other questions that come that is being answered on this is, are there supports available for English learners? And what happens if my child is receiving supports on the general content area assessment? Does it affect them being able to earn a general content area diploma? We answer that, which is that accessibility supports things like text to speech, where it's reading the text on the screen to your child, or speech to text, where your child is speaking and the system is then generating that into print. All these things are available as well on our general content area assessment, and it does not affect anything to do with their participation or their general content area diploma. All right. So what if your child needs a particular support, but it's not listed in, we have what we call an accessibility guidelines. What if it's not listed there? Your child is able to apply to receive that support through our specialized system that we have in place, where the school test coordinator would apply to receive what we call a unique accommodation. All right. Okay. So what about, you may hear where your child may be receiving accommodations in the classroom or supports in the classroom, and they may not be able to use it on the state assessment. Generally, anything that's provided on the state assessment should be provided in the classroom itself. The student should not be using something like speech to text or text to speech for the first time on the assessment. So that's our rule of thumb, our practice, which is that the supports that are provided, whether it be small group or one-on-one instruction, should be all year, and it should also be documented in your child's IEP. All right. So all these questions are on this particular flyer that talks about what you need to know about the accessibility supports for our statewide assessment. If you do have any question, feel free to put it in the chat. I think that's an option. All right. So what else is on this same resource page? We have our one pager that tells you about the DESA alt. It tells you the date of testing, and this will be updated really shortly. I just realized that it was last year's dates, but this year's date is pretty similar. It's September 12th to December 16th. And it tells you when the spring window is, which is February 6th to May 19th. So it will be adjusted, but nothing else has changed besides the dates. So how long does it take for each? We are now for each assessment, basically. We are now in the alternate assessment instructionally embedded model. That means that we have 2 fall windows, and your child is being instructed and assessed as they go. So we've moved from what we call a summative model. We've moved to the instructionally embedded model. And so that's why you're going to see where we have 2 windows. So what that means is that your child wouldn't be assessed in a chunk. You know, we really are promoting the use of this instruct and assess as you go, because that's what your child's classroom teacher should be doing anyway. They're doing this. They're providing instruction on the alternate assessment, and so they're assessing as they go. So the length of time is given here, but it really varies, and it depends upon the subject. It may, it may be shorter, but it's definitely not longer than what you're seeing on your screen here as the approximate testing times. So a testlet on average for English language arts might be 7 to 9 testlets, and they might be about 5 or 10 minutes to give each testlet. So we wouldn't expect to see that being done again at one time, but you're going to see that little by little. There's also a click through to dynamiclearningmaps.org. And if we do have time, I can take you as well to that website so you can see what is on there that you can also, access. So this is another tool that's available. So when you're in the alternate assessment meeting, one of the check boxes is that you have received the resources and you know the implications of participating in the alternate assessment. And these are the tools that you can look at now as we're going through it, but you should also be provided these same tools and anything else that the LEA, your district or charter school, has developed. Okay. All right. So another important, this is really important because I get asked this a lot, and this isn't my area of specialty. So for anything dealing with transition and with what happens after high school, we do have this document created, but you can definitely reach out to our Exceptional Children Resources Work Group as well for any further information. But what this document does, this is the high school diploma versus the diploma of alternate academic achievement standards, right? It's a comparison flyer, and it talks about what does each mean. What does it mean if they have a high school diploma, and what does it mean if they have a diploma of alternate academic standards? It goes through the graduation requirements for each. It also goes through the accommodations. Are they allowed or not? And it's yes, generally for the alternate assessment, it's an extensive allowed amount of accommodations that are allowed, or supports. The curriculum modification, right? As far as with, it goes through for each and provides a comparison so you understand. Take a look. Is this diploma accepted by the military? You can see yes for the general diploma, but no for the diploma of alternate achievement standards. So this is really important that you understand this. As far as colleges, yes, you see the yes here, but there's a maybe here. It depends. Many community college will accept students who receive a diploma of alternate academic achievement standards, but it's that again, it's because we have that word maybe there, it's really important that you really get enough information on the alt by asking these kind of questions and by sharing your future vision for your child or your child's future vision for themselves, and making sure then that the educational plan is aligned with your future goals. Okay, so this answers maybe, you might see a maybe and a further explanation here, and it might go through a yes or no again. So this document is here. It is also available in Spanish, right? So this was translated into Spanish as well as Haitian Creole, and you can access that on this website. Okay. All right. So that's this really important document that I suggest that you really read through and that you really make sure that you understand everything. Okay, so here's a question. At what grade would there be an alternate assessment meeting? Now, the alternate assessment begins officially in grade 3. So it really depends on when this is being considered. Again, it is yearly, but generally our statewide assessments begin at grade 3. So for the alternate assessment, the grades in which it is given is our grades 3 through 8, as well as grade 10, or grade 10 for science. Okay, and we give it as well in grade 11 for ELA and math. So that's when the alternate assessment is given. And you can see it here. It is It is given in grades 3 to 8 and 11 for ELA and math, and the grades 5, 8, and grade 10 for science. Okay. So that meeting would occur, usually maybe it might occur the year before the official grade of testing, but it shouldn't, in my opinion, it's not something that you'd be talking about in kindergarten, if that's what the question is really saying. It's really something that after careful review, after careful consideration, and again, it's a yearly discussion. So because this is really individualized, it's hard for me to say exactly what grade. As much as possible, you want to make sure if your child is able to be assessed on the general content area, that we should give them the opportunity to do so. Again, though, it's really individualized, so you have to talk to your school special education liaison. Okay, let's see. I think another question. Is the alternate diploma accepted by employers outside of Delaware? Now, I can share that form again and I can see what they say here, but as far as that particular answer, it is best. I can take it back, take that question back, these two questions back. I can take them back to my Exceptional Children's Resources partners and get an answer, and I'll share it with Midra and others at Peak to get more answers to you. But to answer that question, basically, is it accepted by employees? It says here that an individual will be able to check the diploma box up on an application. So, you have to check with some adult agencies such as the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, the Division on Developmental Disabilities. They may be able to assist as well with employment. But as far as outside of Delaware, this is all I have so far. So I'd have to reach out to my Exceptional Children Resources to see if I can get any further information for you.
Thanks, Michelle. I was just going to add, we'll make sure that we follow up with that question as well, because I would guess that it would also depend on the respective state and what their requirements are, and the circumstances to which that apply in that state. So we'll make sure we'll follow up.
Yes, and if you can, if possible, okay. Is there a way to record these questions for me so I can?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. So moving back along onto this page, right? I'm going back to that main page. Something else that is available for you is a DLM, Dynamic Learning Maps. They have released a brochure. Oops, a little bit too big. A brochure that talks about the instructionally embedded assessment and what that means. It talks about the benefits. It really is meant to highlight what your child know and what they can do. So it's all about talking about their strengths, and then it should go into as well, what do they need in order to be able to continue in their to be a success or to continue in their educational path. All right. So the IE modeling gives you a chance to really track your child's academic growth. It then also gives you a quick description of the essential elements. And then it talks about the IE model itself. It gives you that cyclical, that's what we call it, is a cyclical approach to instruction where you're constantly evaluating, instructing, and assessing as the year goes on. All right. And then it gives you as a parent a chance to see a snapshot at a glance of how your child is doing. Something else that is available this year, it's really new, so bear with us. But your district or charter, they also have access to what is known as a parent portal. And it's something that I'm definitely going to be preparing a snippet for PIC to share, or maybe we can present on it a little later on. Maybe in the spring we'll present on it. But the parent portal is available, where then you can go in and access your child's learning profile and how they're doing as well from a parent standpoint. So this is something that Dynamic Learning Maps has created, and we're in the, we're in what we call the rollout phase. So it's something that you can ask your child's school, are they, where are the district where they are in this process, but we're in the rollout phase. So bear with us as we get this up and running for you, the parent portal. They also have their contact information here, so and their belief system on this flyer. So this is just a quick at a glance if you're wondering what is the IE model and what are the essential elements. This is a quick brochure that has been developed that is also on our webpage. Something else that Delaware Dynamic Learning Maps develop is a future of opportunity, and it just tells you where, it's just a quick snapshot of a positive report of what are the benefits of participating in this assessment and what it means for your child. And there's a link through a click-through link available for involving students in the IEP and the National Parent Center on Transition and Employment. So you might be able to find some information there, as well as Think College Family Resources. All these are here, provided by Dynamic Learning Maps, that you can click through to learn a little bit more about the future and the opportunities available for your child as well. So this is another resource that's on our page, and it's also available in Spanish as well. All right. Returning to the page, another resource that I wanted to share is that Dynamic Learning Maps have created at-home resources. That means things that you can do with your child. You want to be able to really engage in meaningful communication with your child. Typically we encourage a lot of reading with your children. And so this gives you the chance to be able to, work with your child under activities that they're doing in school. So what they have is they give you the resource, where to locate it, and then they even provide a suggestion for your use. So Tar Heel Reader, that's where you can grab books to read with your child, and it's free, and it's a collection of easy to read accessible books on a variety of topics. So for example, you can easily get to, an accessible telling of a well-known story, whether it be Tom Sawyer or whatever, but these are adapted books that you can get on there. We do have a snippet, I believe, that covers this, so make sure that you look out for that as well. Then we have our shared reader, which uses book, this particular library uses books that has that have the on-screen communication support, so that would help. There's also some shared reading, and we do have a snippet on shared reading. The snippets will be available really soon on the PIC website, they will be recorded so that you can access them. But this document tells you how to get to the grade 3 shared reading, the grade 4 shared reading, all the grades that we have, and give you an example of what that is. So remember what I said? So here's a shared reading vignette for To Kill a Mockingbird. So all these are on here, as well as DLM has a lot of familiar texts. These familiar texts are also used on the assessment a lot of times, and they're organized by grade level. Science activities are also on here, and I'm just going to click through to see, show you how to get again to the dynamic learning maps page. Storyline online, and as well as the description to the precursor, initial and distal precursor descriptions. So basically what those do is we have our essential elements or the alternate academic achievement standards that your child are being instructed on. These are some of the access points to those essential elements that are available here as well. I click through to Project Core, and this goes over things like the vocabulary words, the core vocabulary words that your child should learn. Is really what they call the DLM First 40 are on here. Their writing supports and their teacher as well learning modules for ELA that are available. So all these are here for you to click through and to use with
Michelle?
child. Yes.
Michelle, one of the links for the familiar text is it's a broken link. And I think it's because the hyperlink has ERP and then it's _IE, but when I pulled it up, it should be -IE. So I'll put that link in there, but I just wanted to share that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I'll do is I can check, if you don't mind, I'll write when you give me an update, if you provide that to me as well.
Yep.
I can reach out to them and get the newer version. There might be a newer version to put on the site.
Got you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. All right, so that's also available as well. So as a snapshot, there are a lot of things available for you as a parent. And since I'll take a quick minute and I'll go to dynamiclearningmaps.org, and you know, there are so many resources. So if you go to the instructional resources for the IE model, the instructionally embedded model, you can get here, you can find here for English language arts, the familiar text, the writing that we talked about, the collections are here, as well as the testlets. These are all here as well, that you can get to and to find resources and things that you can do with your child. If you go to the Delaware site, I wanted to show you that you can filter results as a parent. And you can see that there are a guide to the practice activities and release testlet. Here's the parent brochure for Delaware that is also here. There's a parent interpretive guide here. And what this guide is, I'll just click on it really quickly, is it tells you how to understand your child's individual student score report. And we just need to change the date on that. So I'll contact them. Oh boy, my note is growing. The information hasn't changed, but we just want to update the date for you. But as a parent, you can click through to find any resources, whether it be the instructional resources, any assessment resource that is available for you. This again is another parent resource that is actually in Spanish here for you if needed. So all these things are here as well. As a parent, anything, again, the parent guide is here. And again, you can also link through to any their PD site, but pretty much as a parent, you're most likely gonna go to the practice activities and release testlets. So this is what their website look like as far as accessing resources as a parent. So you would go to dynamiclearningmaps.org /Delaware. And what you would do is then you can again bookmark this as well, so that you can always get to it should you need. So this concludes my overview of the resources that are on our page. And again, we have snippets that are coming your way that talks about shared reading, that goes into our definition a little more, things like that are coming your way. Apologies that they're not there yet, but they are coming really soon your way. So watch out for that announcement through PIC when they're posted on our website.
Thanks so much, Michelle, for sharing that information. And as Michelle mentioned, be on the lookout for that information to be posted on our website. This presentation is also being recorded, so be on the lookout for the recording of this presentation on our homepage. And we'll also include the links. I've included them in the chat, but those links that Michelle went over today will be included in the presentation as well. So you can have time to access and kind of go through it. And we always encourage, write down any questions that you have and reach out. Feel free to reach out to us if you have follow-up questions after looking through those resources, even in terms of if you're having these conversations with your child's IEP team, the best ways that you can prepare for those meetings and those conversations, and to make sure that you can make an informed decision as a parent. So again, Michelle, thank you so much. I'm at the conclusion of this presentation. You will receive a link to a survey. Please take a few moments to complete that. Your feedback is valuable, and it really informs the programs and topics that we continue to offer for families and professionals. And again, I don't see any other questions. So thank you for spending the time with us today. And we look forward to assisting you in January for our March, for our next session, where we take a deeper dive into some of these resources. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Bye.